To anybody that's joining us this evening, thank you for taking the time to join us. My name is Natalie Walters, the founder of Reset with Nat, and I am being joined today by Daniela Dickinson, and she is the founder of
Beyond 3 p.m., an educators podcast by educators for the people. The goal is to get together with other like-minded individuals and just discuss all things education within the school and outside the school.
That's right, that's right. And let me tell you guys, first of all, you see the thing about social media is it is a very great place, one.
Yeah, it
And
can be.
two, well, for me, I use it. I focus on how I use it. So for everybody else that's not using it right, sorry. But for me, it's been a great place because I've been able to build a network, right?
Right.
Of people that I never knew, build relationships through conversation. One, I met Shireen through social media. We
Right.
met in person. Then we went to Miami, came
Oh,
back here, and that's when we finally started to connect. I didn't even see her in Miami. We just talked. And then we actually met here. She
wow.
opened the podcast studio. And
Right.
from that studio being opened, I learned about the different people going into her podcast studio and having conversations. And when I saw that you were starting something for educators, I was like, that's excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's very, very great. So I'm glad that's why I say social media has its way of playing its role when used properly.
Right.
And I look at it as a benefit. So the conversation that we are planning to have today, and listen, let me tell you guys about impromptu and quickness, okay? They say don't delay things. Don't they say don't move slow, right, Danielle?
Right.
Oh, accept things. You have to know when to accept things and opportunities. We've been trying to connect for how long?
It's,
A little
oh,
while.
yeah, it's been a few months. Yes, I feel like since the summer started.
Yeah, and the thing is, we had grace with each other, understanding that life happens. But
Right.
then we came up with a great idea, which is on time. In my mind, I think it's on time.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's on time. So we're here to have a conversation about back to school preparation, that reset
Now
for
is the time,
educators.
right? Yes,
Yeah,
now is the
yeah.
time. I mean, everyone's getting ready. I mentioned Canadian Tire in my post because they're selling out patio furniture with hopes of like back to school sales, and it has
hmm
nothing to do with it, in my opinion, but it's the idea. It's that everyone somehow was impacted by this notion of going back to school. It's a societal thing. The streets will even look different once everyone starts getting their kids up and out early for school and then picking them up after school. Longer days for kids. That feels different from just the average summer days because now they're actually being or remaining either in school settings or daycare settings because of extended care, before care, what have you. So it's not going to be the typical fun time that they're used to for the past 9 weeks or 6 weeks that they've been home.
hmm
But yeah, you'll definitely feel the buzz. It's almost like the next biggest thing to like Christmas or like Boxing Day. I
Yeah,
feel like in the city.
yeah. It is, okay, so before we get to even the back to school, let's talk about the summer because for me, a lot of people, like, first of all, the kids' experience with back to school, there's a lady that shared a post and she had like the 10 desks and she was putting the papers down of each child's situation in their private homes that they go through. And every day that they show up at school, we don't know what kids are going through. Some of them may talk, others we may be privy to information, and some we're not,
Right.
right? And it's like, what happens when they're at school, and why do we have to be very understanding, try to be understanding? But
Right.
then after, it's like, okay, some of them have been away from school for such a long time. And I remember that one of the teachers that I had worked with, because I'm an educational assistant. So when supporting this teacher, she said to me, Natalie, we just don't know what's
Mhm.
going on with these students. And because I hadn't been in the school system, I had left and came back. Her sharing that with me in the same light, I looked around and I was like, ooh, I
Yeah.
understand that. It's
Yeah.
real. And then she said to me at the end of the school year, and this is in 2025, that summer, she said, so not every kid is happy about summer.
Of course. Yeah. Of course.
It has a different experience. So as much as us educators were like, woo, all right,
Yeah.
we get
Yeah.
a few months off, there were some kids excited about having the summer off. There's some kids that are just, they were
Yeah.
overwhelmed. And for them, they're excited to come back to school.
Right.
Kids are not.
Yeah.
And then today we're talking about us,
Yeah.
right? What did we do? That free time, how was it used? And how are we going to now get ready to get back into the classrooms?
Yeah. Yeah. Regaining momentum and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know I don't want to jump ahead, but one of the things that you and I discussed is like, how do we even step away from that role, right? I
Right.
know for me personally, it is hard. There's that saying, once an educator, always an educator. And there,
Mm-hmm.
even throughout the summer, my day-to-day interactions with people, I'm assessing them in my mind, or I'm thinking about, okay, how can I potentially advocate for them if they were a student in my classroom, or what are some tidbits I can potentially pass on to their adults, or what are some needs I foresee them um, being some needs that they need met
Mm-hmm.
coming school year, or even now, right? It's like what's
Right.
happening in the summer, and I know I personally have a hard time with just mentally disconnecting from that, because it's just
Okay.
the learning is happening all around me.
Yeah.
And it's it's one thing as an educator, and you can relate to this, like we're trained and we're taught to be curious. We're trained and taught to um, possess an inquisitive mind, and to teach our students how to be inquisitive and to inquire as well, too, through asking questions and through conversations. And that's like one of the
Mm-hmm.
assessments, I would say. Just collecting data through conversations, you get to learn so much about them, the
Right.
things that they say, and even understanding their body languages of what they can't say, what they don't know how to say. And just going back to what you said too, in terms of we don't know what they're coming in to school with, and we don't know what they're leaving into.
Yeah.
And so, one of my favorite words that I love to teach, or I love to say in the classroom, is to give grace. And
Mm.
I'm really big on that, just taking time to understand, and even just helping them to find the verbiage to express
Yeah.
themselves in. Um, but yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later on.
No, 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 no. Yeah, listen, we have our questions, we have our flow, but
Yeah,
at the same time, it is very important because sometimes when it's top of mind, that
yeah,
number, like, unless we're literally writing and reading everything out and we get all of our points out, sometimes the one thing that you wanted to say then may not even come out. So you saying
yeah,
it one time, it just makes sense. So that's okay. It is very important. It's funny you shared that disconnection portion, right? Mentally.
yeah.
Now we're talking about the reset to go back in. You see how you even segue the next question?
Right.
You see why it was good for you to go there? Because it lays down the next question. How do we actually mentally reset to get back in? Right? We had to disconnect the hat of, okay, I'm not in the role right now. And when I'm going out and like, for me, it's like, okay, sometimes I find myself, you see something happening, I stop and I'm watching, like, but then I'm like, Natalie, you have to mind your business because not everybody's gonna understand what you're doing there. You understand?
Yeah, yeah. Listen,
Not
sorry, I had to
everything.
snap my head like that, because I had a whole encounter this past week where I'm just like, okay, you're not in the classroom, you're not in the classroom, you're not the teacher, you're not in charge of the situation. But then I had to jump in there, because I'm just like, I can't watch this happen and then
Right,
just not say anything. But
right.
then it's hard. It really is a struggle sometimes. And something that I noted for myself when we discussed resetting for educators is it's more of a mental and emotional effort than it is anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
we can say it, we can do it, but our mind has to be present, or I believe that our mind has to be present in the very thing that we are making an active effort to do,
Right.
right? So, like for me personally, it's yes, I'm still thinking about September. I never stop thinking about September, because as a kindergarten teacher, I'm having a lot of children who are coming into the learning space for the first time.
Right.
Maybe they have gone to daycare, preschool, but it's going to be different when you're in a classroom that's set up for learning, compared to a classroom that is more play based and caters to a lot of social interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Parents also as well too, like seeing their child, whether it's their first, their middle child, their last child, leaving their child in the hands of teachers that they don't know.
Right.
And for me, it's a matter of, okay, when I'm done here in June, yes, well, I'm planning for September, but it's also thinking about how I can present my best self for the families coming in, right? What do I want them to see? How do I want them to feel? Because
Yeah,
I'm very intuitive,
yeah,
and I do believe strongly that people can tap into the energy that you give off, right? And so I am very mindful of that. And one of the things that I do, or I am doing a lot of, is
mm-hmm.
making sure that I'm prioritizing my rest, making
Mm-hmm.
sure that I'm not feeling like I'm working around the clock
Mm-hmm.
during my break. Setting boundaries. If I'm getting work emails or if there are little notices coming in and it's a Saturday, it's going to wait until maybe Monday. If I'm on vacation, definitely not looking at that app. So just those little tidbits for me, um, it's very necessary, right?
Right.
I want to make sure that when I go back into the classroom, I actually feel rested. I want to feel like I've had a break. I want to feel, and at the same time, I don't want teacher unproductivity guilt to take over and say, okay, like all of this time has gone by and I've done nothing. So
Right.
that's why I'm very mindful of how I block out my time and how much goes into lesson planning and how much goes into looking up resources and saving them and not working 5 days a week. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, um, because I want to take the summer break for what it is, a
Right.
break.
So that's a really good, those are really great reflections and ways of preparation from a teacher's standpoint, because I didn't even take into consideration, it's true, you guys have to lesson plan. Like,
Yeah,
I'm an educational assistant. When I'm off, I'm done. I'm just waiting to see which classroom do I go into, who am I helping, um, and that's where I am. But when it comes to my mental reset on going back in, one,
mm,
when I came off, I was like, listen, uh, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not
yeah,
doing anything. I am resting. Listen to me. One thing about me is rest this summer has been my best friend.
good,
And I am so happy because I was extremely busy last year.
good,
Um, and I know that mentally I had to just let, physically I had to just relax.
right,
Um, I have my son. I enjoyed the time off with him. For him, he was like, he's 16, 15, turning 16, and it's like, oh, you want to be able to get a job, da 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 da. And that didn't necessarily happen this summer. And I said to him, you know what? Don't worry about that, because let me tell you something. You have a lifetime to work. You understand? But
exactly,
at the
yeah,
same time, yes, and and when it will happen, and this is how you prepare in the future. However, um, I was able to, one, relax myself physically, mentally, spend time with my son, have great conversations, talk about his goals and what the next few years are going to look like. And sometimes during the school year, it got so busy. You're
yeah,
coming home, you have activities, you have all of these things. You're just moving so fast, right?
yeah,
So for me, it was like just be in house and be with family and just enjoy. I am a person who really likes to go outside and walk a lot.
yeah,
But because I was outside so much last year or during the school year, I didn't want to go.
yeah, and that's okay.
It's okay.
Okay,
I'm quite cool with that. I was just in a time where it was just like, this is it. And then I got to finally I took the time to work on what I'm building on the side,
yeah,
reset for the kids. What does that look like? Taking
yeah,
the time to know, okay, you can't pour all of your time into that. So just because you're off doesn't mean you're going to occupy all your time on the side gig, right? You also have to strategize the rest,
yeah,
seeing family, spending time with family, and then also building your business on the side.
right,
Now, what I think about when it comes to preparing also to go back into the classroom is I don't know who the students are that I'm going to work with.
mm-hmm.
Some of the teachers, I may know some of them. When I go in, I may know, but then some of the kids I don't. And certain biases because I've seen it. There's some teachers who have a mindset about certain students because they've been with that child.
Right,
They've experienced that child before. My thing is, okay, I'm not taking what happened last year with the child into this year.
right,
I'm going to go in with an open mindset, clear, knowing that they've matured, they've gotten a little older, knowing that they've taken the break, and giving them the opportunity to show me who they are this year.
Yeah.
Also, being mindful that when there are other people projecting their
Mm-hmm.
thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
that because we're not going to do, I'm not going to be taking that on. Like at the end of the day, I can listen
Yeah.
because obviously people with experience with a child or whatever, a situation or a family, I can listen, but at the same time, not going to make that be the preview that I'm just going to work with
Right.
and just go with that child. I have to have my own way and structure of building
Yeah.
with understanding the child, right? So that's something that I'm really focused on.
Right.
And then lastly, it's like mentally, I know that I get very drained. It could get tiring, especially because I know this year, I know they told me already what I'm doing this year. It's going to be busy.
Right.
But at the same time, I took time where there's certain things that I need to do at home for my
Right.
business and whatnot. I pre-planned.
Yeah.
So those things, I'm not going to be thinking about how to come home and deal with that after work as I'm doing my job. I kind
Right.
of being a little bit more proactive in planning out a few months ahead.
And I do want to add that it is also okay to not have a plan sometimes. And I find that especially being in a learning space, sorry, where there's a clear structure and a routine that's outlined for the day. And
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not sure about you, but I know for myself that so much of that carries into my weekends where it's just like, okay, I want to have some form of an itinerary for the
Right.
day. And
Mm-hmm.
then I found myself I had a moment when I was talking to myself in just in the middle of cleaning when I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. And then I started singing someday, but not today.
Mm-hmm.
Someday, but not today. And
Yeah.
then sometimes if I feel like, okay, if I can do this another day, why not do it today? So
Yeah.
someday, why not today? And I would start
Right.
singing that to myself because I find that it's important for us to also learn how to be adaptable and flexible. So you mentioned just being fatigued, just like overworking because you know that your workday is so demanding, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're already thinking about, okay, while it's like 3 o'clock, you're getting the kids outside, you're thinking about dinner, you're thinking about packing lunch for tomorrow, you're probably thinking about laundry, ironing your clothes, filling a water bottle, all of these like little minuscule tasks where you're just like, hey, let's be present. And that
Yeah.
is something
Yeah.
that I'm trying to be really intentional about, where it's
Mm-hmm.
just being present. And
Right.
it's okay for the kids to hear no
Yes.
without an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that we can talk about in our episode with
Okay.
parents or even for children, right? And I
Yeah.
find even just setting that boundary
Mm-hmm.
where just like I'm not going to deal with this right now, and without having to feel the need to say why.
Right.
Um, and so it's just like, okay, what needs to be done right now? And just focus on that and then move on to the next task.
Mm-hmm. So anybody that's on the call, like on the live right now, or that's joined most recently, my name is Natalie Walters, the founder of Reset with Nat, founder of Reset for the Kids, and I'm here with Daniela Dickinson from Beyond 3 p.m. You can introduce yourself.
Yes, the host of Educated Platforms. It is new, but I do appreciate the flow that I've been getting so far and the support. The goal is to talk about all things education related, whether inside the school, after school, and having conversations like this that would
Mhm.
prepare families and other educators before going into the education system. Because when you really think about it, from kindergarten, let's say up into I want to say if you just do like the standard, like what 4 years in post secondary, that's like 20 years of your life plus
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
school,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Yeah.
just like one thing I remember having when I finished teachers college, I was like, okay, now what? Right? So it's like I go to work, but now what? Because I've never been out of school before, but
Mhm.
now I'm actually working in the school. I feel like it's literally my my entire life.
Right. Right. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that I let, because sometimes the people come on and they're like, "What's going on?" So
Yeah.
give them a little tidbit there. Moving on to the next question, it's what does it look like physically preparing our bodies?
Mm,
Um, I think we both kind of mentioned it, but now we're here. So what
yeah.
does it look like for you And for myself, and whatever they hear from us is whatever. And then if anybody in the comments, feel free to share a tip, right? We always appreciate feedback. What does it feel like you for physically preparing to go back onto the job?
Well, physically preparing, I mean, I saw this funny video and I laughed because I felt like this was me, like one, emptying out my closet of clothes that could not fit. So
Mhm.
thinking about what would be restricting for circle time,
Yeah.
sitting down on the level of chairs, making sure that I have enough physical agility to actually keep up with my everyday moving around. So working out,
Hmm.
using my foot massagers more,
Hmm.
taking care of my skin, drinking more water, and being able to use the bathroom freely. That is a luxury for a lot of teachers. I
Right.
think a lot of people are
Yeah.
just like, yes, because it's true. Like when you're at school, you don't get the luxury of having to just slip out of a classroom just to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So we're just taking time to really just hydrate, taking in the sun. Um, I also am trying not to focus so much on time, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So
Yeah.
they get rid of the notion that I have to do something by a certain time.
Hmm.
Uh, then that could just be like when I have my meals. Of course, I'm trying not to eat too late, but just feeling like there's a little bit more control on my
Hmm.
end and
Okay.
not too much on the demands of like my little ones and their families and then my work environment.
Yeah.
But I feel like those tidbits it's working for me.
Hmm.
And of course I am mindful not to slip into like a mode where I'm getting too stagnant or complacent or lazy, where it's going
Hmm.
to be hard to readjust to getting up on time. So I know personally, I've never been one to just lounge around in bed, but
Okay.
even just getting out of the room and just doing small things around the house, whether like just picking up tasks that I neglected, but still something that I can take my time and do.
Yeah.
Um, that's something that's worked for me personally.
Okay. That's good. That's good. For myself, it's my feet. Just making sure I recognized that last year my feet were bothering me, right?
Yeah.
So, I booked an appointment to see about the proper shoes, like having the insoles, and different things around because for me, I'm not in one space.
Hmm.
Move around the school a lot and then outside walks, right? And it is very important to have comfortable feet. Like at the end of the day, shouldn't be feeling my feet are bothering me so often. So my feet is one. Um, I didn't really. I had moments of going to the gym and working out this year. I've been very relaxed and lazy, which is okay. I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad.
Me too. That makes too.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But confession time. Like
Yes.
I told you, I was busy last year. So this summer I just want to relax. But I did a little bit of walking and a little stretch here, a little stretch there. Not too much.
Right.
However, I just know that physically, there's things that I need to go and get
Yeah.
to have when I'm on the job. So sometimes that means like booking the appointments for me. For other people, my glasses, maybe not according to my feet, but physically, you know, glasses. I had to go get my eyes tested, and my eyes run a lot, right? Due allergies and whatnot. I had to go talk to the optometrist. I had to go see the allergist, like just to make sure that physically I am getting myself. You're probably like, "Oh gosh, girl, you work with them children and you have all them."
You have to. And honestly too, I hope you're using if you have like insurance like your benefits, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Because now
yeah.
is the time to like use like get those midweek appointments.
Yeah.
Whether you're just doing like acupuncture, that's something I've done it once and I honestly I feel like I'm like pro acupuncture for those who
Yeah.
can manage because
Okay.
it just I don't know, like acupuncture, it just when we talk about resetting our bodies, it's just like there's
Mhm.
so many little things that acupuncture can fix, and it's
Right.
just afterwards you can literally feel like the stress, like you feel decompressed. And I was just like, this is amazing. It's like Yeah, I think it just depends on who you go to. I know everyone's experience is going to be different, but I would say
Yeah.
my experience with that was amazing.
Okay.
Getting your blood work, getting your vitamins, right?
Yes,
Making sure
yes,
you have
yes.
that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And now is the time to start juicing, right?
Yes, yes. Okay, girl. I was just talking to my man about that. I was like, oh, wait, we gotta get a better juice. We're gonna get juice. I know how I ate. Oh, that's another thing. How I ate last year. I think that I was eating also in, when they say stress eating
Yeah,
during the day. Oh gosh. And I'm like, this year, I don't want that.
yeah,
If
yeah,
I'm gonna eat, like, what kind of snacks? I've been thinking about even snacks. So as we're talking about physically and preparing our bodies, this is also our bodies are being fueled by food, right? And then as much as we're having so much talk about the different things that are in the foods, it's also thinking about which foods can also revitalize and reignite some energy without depending on the coffee. I was a coffee girl. I am a coffee.
yeah,
But the dependency on the coffee and then I needed a cookie or a little spark of sugar, I don't
yeah,
want to be doing that, So there's a lot of different things. It's just important, like you said, to get appointments taken care of.
yeah,
Everybody has their needs, so it's knowing what your feeling was
yeah.
and want, right? And then seeking the support.
I do want to throw in if therapy is possible, whether it's writing therapy, journaling, or speaking to somebody,
Mm,
because I find so many of us educators, we go into the classroom with certain triggers, and
right.
then we're unaware of what that is. So you may feel like you have a lack of patience with whether it's someone or with something, and you're not sure why you're so bothered by this.
Hmm.
And I feel like now is a really good time to just recheck in with yourself and just try to find out, okay, like if I was really stressed out about getting, let's say, 10 emails from this particular person, why did that bother me? Was it the
Hmm.
tone that I was reading into, but why? So just asking yourself, but why, so that you can feel that if you need to get new coping strategies for stress management, now is a good time to do that, right?
Yeah,
And of
yeah.
course, like we did talk about starting every school year with a fresh start, a fresh slate. Every day is a new chance. Uh,
Hmm.
I do believe that something with trigger points and certain stressors
Hmm.
you may not realize, but those things are ongoing, and
Right.
then they come out in the way how you interact with kids, the way how you interact with your coworkers. So that's another thing I'm just going to put out there,
Yeah,
just
that's a good
check in
one.
with yourself, just to make sure that whatever it is that caused you to get easily upset for the past few years or the past year, if it's someone who rubbed you the wrong way, okay, like how can I now address this individual, or how can I now be more cordial or maintain a level of professionalism that would not stress me out personally or individually, but also shows that I can still be a team player.
Right.
So,
A good one. That's good. It's that's why it's great to have like the collaboration. That's why I was like, yes, I love it because it's not just one perspective, right?
yeah,
Hearing from multiple people, different things, hit different people in different ways, may have experienced or different knowledge. Put it all out there because there's something that I may not even recognize, right?
yeah,
What you said to me may even be something that I need to look into.
mhm, yeah,
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
thank you for sharing that. I do want to move on to the next question, which is what is one thing you are going to do differently this year to protect your energy and avoid burnout? Which I think I've heard, but we're going to go through
yeah.
like this particular question this time.
Okay, do you want to answer that first? Do you have something on the top of your mind? Have something that you'll do differently?
No, because this year seems like it's going to be harder, so I don't know. Go.
Well, something that I would do, so I did mention with not responding to emails past work hours, etc.
Hmm.
My goal to avoid burnout
Hmm.
is just to do more check-ins with myself. And
Okay.
again, I'm just going to reiterate the importance of saying no,
Yeah.
whether it's to colleagues, children, and their parents. So something that happened a lot in the past year was there were a lot of like I guess like on the spot, oh, like let's meet kind of thing,
Hmm.
or can we chat after school, or let's meet at 7 a.m. And I'm like, it made me
Mhm.
flustered because I'm coming from the east side of the subway line, which means that from the very moment that I wake up is going to have to be a whole half an hour earlier just so I can catch a particular bus just to get there for this 2 minute meeting. Not doing that.
Right.
So I feel like just going into the school year with making my standards and my expectations clear in terms of when I'm willing to have these impromptu meetings.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, like, I know some things need to be addressed right away, but yeah, just straight up saying no, you
Right.
know. And
Right.
I see
Right.
someone saying it's hard to say no, and if you feel like saying no is a little bit too harsh, if you want to redirect and just say, I will let you know, or I will give you a day and a time that is convenient for me. So then
Yeah.
that way you're still putting yourself first. And then that person can also like back off, or hopefully they can back off a little bit, knowing that they're going to expect you to come to them when you're ready, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I hope that's a little bit clear.
Yeah.
Something I found myself saying a lot more was like, this sounds like a good conversation we can get back to Tuesday at this time. Or I can
Mhm.
write out in the homework diary some availability that I will have next week, and we can make some time to prepare. We'll have some time to prepare some notes so we can discuss this in the appropriate manner that it needs to be discussed.
Mhm.
So I find just a lot of redirecting
Mhm.
and standing your ground because people will take advantage.
Yeah.
The more that they know that they can just corner you and press you, and especially if you keep on saying yes for the sake
Yeah.
of a team player or wanting to be recognized as, I don't know, an MVP or what have you. But it gets a lot, right? It takes a mental, emotional, physical, and sometimes even a financial toll
Mhm.
on what they're asking you of you.
Yeah. I see here, my neighbor's always asking me to play volleyball right after work, right when I get out of the car, and he said it's a hard no, and as you should, right? What you
Yeah.
think? LOL, these kids are bullies, I tell you.
They can be, yes, they can be bullies. But again, you have to stand your ground. And something
Yeah,
like, I don't yet have children. What
yeah.
I've observed is that, and I remember I was saying to someone just yesterday, she's a young mom. Her
Mhm.
son's going to be starting school September, and she's saying that she's finding it's getting hard to work with him at home. And
Mhm.
I just reminded her, I said, remember, you are the adult in the house.
Yeah.
And the first time that you allow them to say no, that can be the open door to many things. And something
Everything.
that
Mhm.
I like to be mindful of, especially like in this day and age where there's so many conversations happening with adults and children, and that's okay. I'm not against that.
Mhm.
Something I like to say to something I have said it to my students at times. There are moments when you will have a choice when you can say no, and then there are times when I need you to listen to what I'm saying to you because there's a reason for that.
Mhm.
And I would
Mhm.
just make sure that I make it very clear to them. Now is not one of those moments where we have time for a conversation. I need you
Right.
to listen to me, or this is an opportunity for you to tell me yes or no. So, I mean, we all have choices, right? And I
Mhm.
find that
Mhm.
it's important to teach them at a young age.
Right.
And it's good for us to learn how to model that. So
Right.
I hope family in the the comments, I hope that you will find the strength to
Yeah.
say right after work is not a feasible time for me to play, or I would like to rest for an hour, or you set your parameters, whatever works for you. And I always feel like the hardest conversations will be the most rewarding in the future. So if you want to speak to that individual directly and just say, okay, I'm tired after work, or I would prefer to play volleyball on the weekends. Hopefully that works for you, or every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Maybe you guys can just figure
Mhm.
it out so they're not always bombarding you. So that's
Yeah.
for you. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And then also letting people know that how life changed, right? Because sometimes people don't understand. They don't recognize that, your responsibilities change, your body, as we age, certain things that we used to do that we're not into doing all of that anymore because we don't necessarily feel the same. So it's
Yeah.
not necessarily always the hard no. It's
Right.
also having a discussion because sometimes it's experience. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have the experience, they don't have the same life.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily seeing it a certain way that no could be a moment where we're sharing and we're teaching. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when that person gets there, that's when they'll understand. If they don't understand your hard no and your explanation, well, that's when it's like, well, I don't feel bad about what I just told you because at the end of the day, it's my boundary. But
Yeah.
sometimes having that understanding, because there are people that you have relationships if they feel comfortable enough to feel like, yeah, this is what we do. Come on, let's go play volleyball. Well, no, 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 not the same person anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna have
Exactly.
to give me this time, right? And sometimes it's not even a schedule. You're gonna have to deal with me and when I'm able to play volleyball. And that means, you know what? It gives the person the opportunity to find another set of people who have the flexibility and
Yeah.
ability to play with them whenever they're ready.
Exactly. And if that person is continuously coming to you for volleyball, then perhaps suggesting maybe there's a solo sport that you can play or master by yourself until you're able to get together a more consistent team. So it's
Yeah,
just finding a way to just, yeah, learning how to respectfully deflect.
yeah,
But again, just set those parameters and just say like, this is just know yourself, know what you can handle, and of course, if you want to play volleyball after work, then fine.
yeah.
But if you know that it's going to cost you like an hour of sleep or an hour of doing something else with your family or at the house or just enjoying your rent or your mortgage, then perhaps reconsider.
That's it. So Stephanie's crying. She's like crying at the body changes are real. Listen today. I mean, this is going on. It's on topic. It's not even off topic because we're talking about physically preparation, right? And avoiding burnout. A friend and I were talking about our age. Our birthdays are coming up, right? And being of a certain age, the term menopause and perimenopause and all these things are coming up or have been present. And we're recognizing that some of the things that we may look at as tiredness is
Mm-hmm.
not just that. Like, we are literally, our body chemistries are changing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes we don't even understand why we're feeling this way mentally, physically, right? So we have to be able to recognize that, hey, it's a part of life. And if the other person is not understanding, that's okay. I don't understand either, but right now I'm telling you no. And bear with me if you want, if you feel like mentally it bothers you that you are not able to keep up with whatever that thing is, and it's time to maybe make sure you get to the doctor to
yeah.
get your blood work done, like you were saying, the vitamins and stuff, hydration, sleep.
And there are so many books too on understanding hormones that
Mhm.
I've noticed a lot of men, or at least on the various podcasts that I listen to, men they're reading these books now so they can understand their female partners more and better. And
Absolutely.
I feel like to me that is just so wholesome, um,
Yes.
because it's like we're going through so much already,
Mhm.
and as you
Mhm.
said, some that we don't even understand what's happening and
Mhm.
it's just like for someone else to be able to pick up on those cues and say, okay, something is off about her or
Mhm.
something is different about her. Let me try to understand this on my own so I can know what not to do or how to approach or what I can do to potentially help her. And honestly, a lot of times it's really just the simple things, right? Like just
Yeah.
offering space to just be quiet or that moment of stillness, not having anyone approach us
Yeah.
and to ask questions, not having anyone to need something for us or feel the need to have to serve others in a particular moment or a particular way if you just don't have the capacity. It's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So this is a question that you wanted to revisit a little different, and I'm gonna have you start off with this one, okay?
Okay.
This
Yeah.
one. So
Yeah.
once an educator, always an educator. Do we
Mhm.
have the privilege of separating from the profession? And how do we set resetting in motion after school or on breaks?
Okay. So I would say, I mean, when I first looked at this question, I was like, okay, I had a particular response. And I've come to the realization that separating or being able to differentiate whether it's like a personal matter versus a professional matter can be hard
Mhm.
because resetting in itself can be very subjective as it looks different for everybody. It looks
Mhm.
different for based on everyone's experience. It looks different for everyone's moments. Whatever their personal capacity allows, their intellect, all of the all of the variables is
Mhm.
something that can be considered. So um, speaking for myself, sometimes it is hard to take off that teacher hat because I feel like, and something that I often question is, did I come into this role because of my innate characteristics, personality, style, all of that? Or is it that, um, yeah, did I go into it because of myself, or is it that this profession taught me and shaped me so much into how I think, how I operate?
Mhm.
So I would say that for me, it is interconnected in a lot of ways. And I am trying. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I feel like this is a situation that I would easily take over
Mhm.
because of how I would handle it as being the authoritative figure in a classroom, and
Right.
just trying to be more mindful of like, okay, I'm not in a classroom. This is not my space, not my domain. And even just something simply as allowing someone to lead. And an example I would give is watching children or watching a child try to do something.
Mhm.
It's so easy to just get in there and say, okay, let me do this for you because it'll be faster or it'll
Right.
be less messy, it'll be cleaner. But then,
Mhm.
like, that is their learning moment to figure it out. And it's also like my learning moment to just look, sit back and watch them figure it out. So
Mhm.
something as simple as that is just like, okay, here's where I'm like, okay, I don't want to overstep in
Mhm.
this person. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a child, but even an individual, because our learning waves comes in different moments and different peaks. So I can say it can be challenging at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But well, or it can be challenging for those who really invest a lot, right, into the profession. And
Mhm.
I say that because there are many educators who are in the field where it's just so easy for them to just sign off once the bell rings, and that's it, they're done, because it's like, it's maybe it's not their passion, maybe they've just been doing it for so long, it just comes easily to them.
Mhm.
So I'm not there yet. I'm not there
Mhm.
yet, but
Mhm.
I just try to pick those little moments where I'm like, okay, this is a teachable moment for somebody else to figure out what to do or what not to do. I will end with saying that I used to tell my grade 7, 8 students to take the L for learning, and you either learn what not to do or you learn what to do. Either way, you're going to learn something.
Mhm.
And that's just changing the narrative of um, how we handle situations and people around us.
Okay. And for me, once an educator, always an educator. Doesn't mean it's always in the school system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For me personally, I don't feel like just because I'm doing something, that's where I'm stuck and that's how I have to operate. I also believe in pouring, like taking the support of other people,
Yeah.
asking for help from the people that have brought me in or have been in longer.
Mm-hmm.
Even looking at people who, like last year, I worked with someone who he he wasn't doing the same role as me for as long, like the amount of years because I had left and came back. So when he came in with a shorter amount of time in the school system. But I recognized something about him, his talents and his
Mm,
ability to deal with certain situations.
right.
And for me, it was really important to know, okay, this is the time to step back
Mm-hmm.
and let somebody else be that
Mm-hmm.
person. Not necessarily disconnect and turn off everything,
Yeah.
but it allowed me because first of all, I can get very I can get I'm an advocate for myself and the people who I want to advocate for, and sometimes that can come off very passionate as well
Yeah.
and misunderstood.
Yeah.
So it also means that I need to know that that reset may be, look, Natalie, you step back and let
Mm-hmm.
someone else take over
Right.
to support in certain moments, knowing that I still care and I'm going to pay attention and I want to make sure that you're getting, make sure you tell them from me, or
Yeah.
say what you see. But at the same time, just knowing that it's not just me as that one person. I look on the team. Team is very, very important
Right.
um, for me and what I do.
It's
So,
it's also important for others to learn to, and for ourselves too, to appreciate being able to be the learner in a situation, or being a learner in this space as well too.
mhm,
And I know that I'm guilty of thinking so many times where I'm like, oh, I would do this differently, or I would say this differently, or I would, but just going back to, it's not about me.
mhm,
This is not my thing. I am present here. I also have an opportunity to grasp something from this as well. Hi, Kanisha. But it is necessary to just really just understand that it's not always our voices that will be the loudest and the strongest in moments, and that is key, right? And it's
Mhm.
something, again, one thing I say to adults, one of the best ways, or what I believe one of the best ways for adults to learn, is to learn as a child would learn.
Mhm.
Children, when they come in with, or I find a lot of children are more open-minded,
Yeah.
and yes, they are curious and they ask a lot of questions, but the experience in which you can see their minds transform when you're teaching them something or when you're sharing something with them,
Mhm.
it's beautiful. It's something that words cannot even describe, at least not to me. And
Right.
so when an adult comes into a space where, we come in with a lot more experience. We come in with our own challenges, our own biases, etc. So it can be harder for us to just be as open-minded and just receptive as a child would be, right? So it takes a lot of mental willpower, I would say, to
Mhm.
just recognize that and just going back to what we shared earlier about starting the school year, where it's like I'm going to allow um, whatever it is that's happening to teach me something. Like I can take something from it, and if you don't get anything from it, it's okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's fine as well too.
Yeah. Okay, so we're coming down to the last and wrapping up our conversation. For anybody that's been on here throughout the call, very great. Thank you very much. We'll be definitely sharing the live out on our platforms to make sure that for anyone that misses this conversation, you will get to, if you want to view it, you can. And then we'll be coming back next week. And are we going to be talking to the children or the parents first? Who are we talking to?
Let's see the parents next, and let's save
Okay,
the
good.
children for last. Yeah,
Good.
let's save the
That's
children
all
for
right. Okay,
last.
so that's what's happening next week, and we're going to make sure that we post and give advance notice on when that conversation will be. But the last question is: are there challenges with wanting to disconnect from routines and schedules as adult?
Oh, I think so. Something I've always known for a long time is that I can be very set in my ways.
Okay.
Um, but hearing somebody say that, I'm like, okay, this is this is becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I do think so, and I'm just going to just go back to a previous point that I made where it's talking to someone, a therapist, or perhaps writing out why, like if you're noticing a constant need for a particular order or structure, because again, it could just be something there, whether it's like a, I don't know, like this immense need for control all the time. And if routines keep us grounded, routines are there to help us, I guess, know what to expect. And
Mm-hmm.
for some of us, and something I'm still learning how to do is um, understanding that it is okay to be spontaneous and to just go with the flow, but still getting to that why,
Right.
that why is having this routine so important, and why does it throw me off, if it does, um, so often when I'm outside of certain spaces. So I
Mm-hmm.
think just being more attuned with yourself, I do believe that is necessary and it is key. And of course, it's not something that I believe you should just kind of do cold turkey, where you just wake up and you're just like, I'm just going to go out into the world today, no plans. If you know that that would give you a form of anxiety, then perhaps don't do that to yourself, right? Because that's not healthy. So I
Yeah,
would say
why
to
do
just,
it to yourself?
yeah, just do it gradually, right? Where it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, maybe instead of, I don't know, going to the gym at 3 o'clock, perhaps it's just like, I'm just going to go to the gym later on, not associating with the time, perhaps. And it's just like, just try to find something different that would get you out of the rigid motions of a routine or a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That's some of my tidbits for now. And I am saying this not just to the choir, but I'm saying this also for myself.
Yeah.
Um, these are some things that I did notice a lot, especially since being on the summer break, where I'm like, okay, like there's a whole day, there's nothing in the calendar. But eventually I've come to be okay with that. I've come to
Right.
just be okay with just letting things happen. And one of my favorite sayings is that everything that is supposed to happen will happen the way that it's supposed to, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm just learning to listen to myself, taking my own advice, and try to be intentional about applying it.
Yeah. So for myself, are there challenges with wanting to disconnect from routines and schedules as adults? No, for me. I think when it comes to at school, no, because as an educational assistant, I am not like you're the instructor. For
Mm-hmm.
you, there's a certain way that you prep and plan the day. You
Yeah.
understand? And a certain flow, understanding that yes, there may be moments of having to, adjust
Pivot, yeah.
in the spur of a moment. However, I think because of the role that I play, the routines and the schedules, I think it is important. I think it's very important for some kids, but I also understand working with different kids that having the ability to just adapt to change
Mm-hmm.
at any point in time, even though it may be hard, is important. So I am not necessarily, I don't think that's too much of a challenge with that.
Yeah.
At home or in other life, like, okay, so you're talking about the gym. Let's go to the gym.
Yeah,
So
let's
there was
go
a time where I was like, okay, I was waking up, I'm like, I don't know what it is. Wintertime, I have this thing that I will go to the gym at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning in a blizzard.
there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love it, love it, love it. I don't know what it is that mentally I just get up and I do. It's a
Well,
routine.
good for
Getting up.
you. Yeah,
No, no,
good
no,
for
girl,
you.
don't good for me. Don't good for me. Don't good for
Right.
me yet. Happens for like a few months straight, and I'm like, yes, this is a routine. This is the pattern. This is the flow. I do not know, and I noticed it for the past few years that come March, I don't want that no more.
Mm.
That time in the morning, no more. So then I say to myself, I'm going to go in the evening.
Okay.
This is where it is important because then I'm telling myself I'll go in the evening. I don't say a
Mhm.
time because I say the evening, and I know based on my day. Then after I'm like, oh, the evening comes, and I'm like, yeah. That's where no, I should be telling myself that's where it is important.
Yeah.
Um, and it does become a challenge because then especially when I leave it to not building that time in and making sure everybody else around me says, listen, they understand that time, leave her free for her
Yeah.
to go do that and encourage me to go do that. I'm talking about the people at home, not just random people, but say, mom, okay, mom, you remember you said, mm-mm. Then I have trouble,
Does
right?
it work for you if you give yourself an incentive where you say, okay, if I go on Wednesday when I get home, I get to do this?
No, because what I get to do here?
No,
What
I don't
TV? I am the authority here. I can do whatever I want. No, so yes, there are other incentives that I can make for myself, and I have heard that. I have
Yeah.
heard give yourself an incentive, maybe even like after a certain amount of weeks. Because I know, what's that book? Ooh, the 12-week year. It's like
Mm.
work, work, work for the 12 weeks straight, and then give yourself that break and reward yourself for
Yeah.
the hard work that you put in for whatever that time slot is. And I tried that, but I didn't. I have not applied it to that particular thing where I
Okay.
think there's a challenge, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Um, I have come down to the idea. See, I'm working on myself. I'm talking to myself. Like you said,
Yeah.
we need to have the conversations. And
Yes.
I'm having the conversations, and I've been researching certain things, and I think I found something that might work this year.
Okay.
I think I found something that will not make it a challenge.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, with me, it tends to be a little different with this question because it depends on what part
Yeah.
of
It fluctuates. Yeah. No,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
fluctuates.
Mm-hmm. But
But
not the
maybe
outside. Yes, you know me, Steph.
we do have a lot of options. So, like,
Yeah.
something that I tell myself, I mean, there's a gym right downstairs, so there's no reason for me not to go. How
Mm-hmm.
often I go there depends. But I
Mm-hmm.
tell myself, okay, if I don't go downstairs on these days that I designate for a workout, I have to do
Mm-hmm.
something with YouTube.
Inside. Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just like, okay, there's Madison on YouTube. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she has all the no jumping exercise, laying down exercise. She has everything. I was like, okay,
Oh,
Madison,
who's Madison?
you
You
have
gotta share Madison with me.
Madison.
I
I
would
said,
love a little lay down something.
Mad Fit with Maddie. I think that's what's called Mad Fit, Mad Fitness or something like that. But
Okay.
after I'm just like, you know what? Thank you, Madison. She can't hear me, but I feel good that knowing
Yeah.
that I committed or I followed through something that I committed to doing. So it
Yeah.
feels good, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes, recognize what your challenge is and then finding a way to get yourself over that hump, and then consistency,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's good when we're doing something great, but it's just as important when it's something challenging. And again, I say that to myself too. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also the why. Like I should be remembering my why.
yeah,
Like, ma'am, you're having a problem with your feet. Your
yeah,
back is starting to hurt. For crying out loud,
yeah,
turn on the YouTube because I used to do the workouts inside at first, and then after I would go out to the
right.
gym. But if I'm not, you're right. Okay, so then go back to at least if you're gonna do, you're gonna miss. And maybe the thing is too, having it in your mind that you have to do something every day. I'm putting it that I'm gonna go every day, maybe sometimes a week.
Yeah,
Sometimes a week.
exactly. Yeah,
Girl, stop putting so much pressure on yourself to act like you really like this thing. Because I don't.
right.
I
Right. Yeah,
don't like it
twice,
anymore.
3 times a week. That's great. And plus, you said like you like to walk. I mean, one of those activities can even just be dancing. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of dancing stuff on YouTube where it feels fun and you're
Mm-hmm.
still, that's cardio right there. So
Right now, yeah.
stretching, that's important too, is
Yeah.
something we neglect, but you just do 10 minutes of stretching. It doesn't have to be an hour, 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
minutes, right? So we have
I'm gonna
options. There's
watch this
nothing
back
but
again.
options. Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this back. I'm gonna watch that particular part. You said
Yeah.
10 minutes? 20
10
minutes?
minutes.
At
10 minutes.
home, turn on YouTube. Little reminder. Yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
Daniela, it was a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as
Likewise.
well. For anybody that's been on the live, thank you for being a part of the comment section and viewing us. We're going to come back and we are
Yes.
going to continue this conversation. This is a series, okay? So we're going to make the flyer for our next date that we're going to, you want to continue on the Monday, next Monday as well?
We could do that. We could do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can just discuss the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
3-part
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
I think the first one went really well. Thank you again for sharing your time and your schedule with me.
Yes.
Um,
No problem.
it is important, as I said, just again check in with ourselves, and I hope that our reviewers would be able to find something of value,
Mm-hmm.
something enlightening, whether it's thought provoking. You can slide into our DMs if you have any particular questions,
Yeah.
statements that you would like for us to address next time, and we'll do our best.
Yeah.
Right?
And make sure that you guys, click that drop arrow button. It's beyond 3 p.m. At
Yeah.
beyond 3 p.m. You go ahead and if you want to learn more about her, she has a podcast, right? So there's content streaming out on YouTube. That's where your information is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
great, great. And for me, this reset with Nat Page is basically the behind the scenes of building the reset for the kids brand. So what's that journey like, right? So here's where I have whatever conversation. And then if you're interested in information about children and what the reset code looks like and what that is for the kids, then you would follow me on that page. But yeah. All right,
Until
girl.
time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone else. You guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your week, okay?
Yes. Likewise. Take care.
Okay, take care. Bye bye.
Bye.